Okay, hello, Assalamu alaikum, Sophia. How are you?
Walaikum salam. I'm absolutely fine. I hope you're well too.
I am great as well, Alhamdulillah. I'm Zinia Shah. This goes for the audience. And who I have today with me is, you've already heard the name. She's Sophia Humayun. She is a budding writer, and she has this amazing book out for us to read, and that is Shattered Echoes. Am I right?
Yeah, we're good. Thanks.
So what we're going to do today is that we're going to dive into her experience, we're going to dive into her journey, and also we're going to work against this one thing that I really do work for is that we're going to try to be anti-gatekeeping. Yes. So we are going to make this somewhat a learning experience for our audience as well. Can we do that, Sophia?
Yeah, sure. Why not? I hope it
Okay,
will
great.
be learning experience for me too.
Of course, that is true. So we're gonna jump into it right away, and we're gonna start with this one thing that, first of all, Shattered Echoes. What was the thought behind it?
I actually started writing short stories. I used to write poetry like this forever, and then I started writing short stories. And the main purpose behind writing this collection was I always felt this thing that Pakistani women, particularly, are either misrepresented or underrepresented. As you know, that Anglophone literature, especially in Pakistan, uh,
Hmm.
let's call it indigenous Anglophone literature, doesn't really exist as such. Now we have plenty of writers who write in English, but back then, if we talk about like 5+ years, we didn't have Anglophone writers writing from Pakistan. So most of the narrative of Pakistani like nation or population or even Pakistani women was written by diaspora writers. So
Hmm.
I always felt that they can project one aspect of Pakistani society, but they cannot do justice to it because they haven't been living in Pakistan. So that was the basic thought behind writing or start writing
So
stories.
there I can say that there's a lot of reflection on challenges that you yourself might have, you
Yes,
know,
definitely. Certainly, you can say that, but it
faced
goes beyond
in
my personal experiences.
the society. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. My personal challenge is
of
true,
course,
but then it goes beyond it too. It's majorly based on the
of
observation
course. So it became
and the
hmm,
my observation in my surroundings that I see women or Pakistani society
hmm.
going through. And however, if I mean I myself have used word women for plenty too many times, but if you read the stories, you'll find that they're not only about women; it's more about Pakistani society, and the themes are very diverse in their nature.
So there's this one thing. It just occurred to me, hearing your point of view just now, that there is a certain distinction between culture and then there is a pseudo culture that prevails in our society. Yes. So working against the pseudo culture is a big thing, as in there is a lot of hurdle in the way that if you are to address pseudo culturalism that prevails in our society. So was there any such challenge that you faced through addressing this in your writing process? That is, sharing it with someone, some friend, or a mentor, and then they come about like, Sophia, maybe no, this won't work. Maybe tone down, maybe do something else or anything.
Well, well, first, like first of all, yes, while you're writing process, reviews matters a lot. They help you a lot go a long way, and they help
Hmm.
you look at your own work from a very different perspective, from a fresh perspective. And there comes a times when you have written the story, and the story has been living with you for a lot of time, maybe month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, whatever the time is, and you become kind of sick of that story. You're already tired of the story because you have been writing and rereading it time and again in order to prune it or to make it perfect or do the ship shaping kind of thing. So you do need the reviews, but here's important what is important here is that you don't get the reviews from everyone around you. That's very
Hmm.
important, right? So
Hmm.
I was very choosy about my work and about the people with whom I'm going to share my work for the reviews. So yes, that was one point because I would never approach a person I was skeptical might not lead me into the right direction. Maybe
Of
might
course,
have
might
some
not be constructive,
stubborn kind
maybe.
of ideas. I didn't want to discourage myself, which is not to say that I was not open to criticism. I always went to the people who were already doing great in their job. And I must say that whoever I approached, even when you open the book, you'll find that there are 13 to 14 people who have provided quotes for my or blurbs for my work. And they have
Hmm.
actually read my work. And when they told me that I should get it out, it's when I got it published. So yeah,
So
but
this thing that you have to be choosy
yes,
a lot
yes,
choosy.
yes, yes, yes. Do share your work with people who understand your work, kind of the work
Ex-
that you're writing, right? If I show my work, for example, if I show my dad, it's not okay not to be okay in that story with a random person, I'm really sorry that that person is not gonna approve of that story at all. It's a way out of line. It's a way out of standard line, and it's very challenging kind of a story. It's very,
It
so yeah. So yeah, I have to, I mean, consider the fact that if the other person has the understanding of, grasping the idea behind that story or not.
Exactly. So this is again a point to be noted for all the aspiring writers, that be extremely choosy when you're
Yes.
actually taking feedback from someone, and that especially through the writing journey. Yes, before you're done with the writing. So all right. So we'll jump to the next question, and that is, it's a big thing to actually create a character, and then not a single character only, but a lot of characters which together corroborate your entire story or your entire narrative. So how does that character building goes for you?
Since I was writing a collection of short stories, and when I
Hmm.
started writing the short stories, I was more looking for publication into the magazine, which many of my work got published into different magazines too. So at that time, I was not thinking, or I didn't have any idea that ultimately I'm going to end up in a collection of stories in a form of a book. Right. So, but then character becomes very important. There are two sorts of stories, basically plot based and character based. And most of my stories are character based. When maybe that's how that's like I don't know if you talk about if they are fictional or imaginative. I cannot really draw the line here because even if you get inspired from a real life person around you, it may
Hmm.
be some dialogue, some maybe some sentence said by a person, or it may be a person in your surrounding which is very peculiar kind, who is very peculiar kind of a person, and you want to write a story about that person. It can happen, but when you start writing, and you're writing that story, and you just wonder by the end of the writing, that person becomes altogether different from the real one.
Hmm.
So yeah, uh, I don't know if I think about the characters. No, yeah, ideas were something that I took from the real life experiences and real life people. But the character, if we talk about the real character, for example, in the very first, I don't know, no, the Escapades, that story. There's this character Rahima, and that character is basically based on one of my mates. But if you say that she's completely, or this is the life story of Rahima, real original life story of my mate, that's not. She inspired me to write a story about a woman who is belongs to a village and works in a city life, and how she navigates her way through, all those struggles of life to find a better life for herself. But then, even then, the events and the setting and everything and the details to her own physical self is not completely comply with her looks. Yes, I got inspiration, but that is not to say that it's entirely on her life based on her, life or everything. Um, yeah, that's it, I guess. You do need inspiration, and I mean, even when I wrote this story, there's this one story in the list in the brain has been inspired from my experience of working with certain NGOs. Are you there? I guess we lost the connection or something. All right, so yeah, the list in the brain is basically about, yeah, it's about
Okay.
basically yes, it has been taken from my experience working with the NGOs. There's this girl who works for the NGOs and gets a very small pay, and then eventually she's not paid at all, or her pays are delayed and everything, and she keeps hoping that she'll be paid ultimately. So yeah,
Hmm.
part of it is true, whatever happens on the in the NGOs and how they try to work, and part of it it's not, because Salima is not a real life character.
Of
Even
course. So
Rabia is not a real
inspiration
life
is real
character.
life. So the inspiration is from real life, but then of course your storytelling is a bit fictional, and
And
that's
it's not in
that's
my
how it
hand to,
should.
yes, but it's not in my hand to, once you start writing a story, it takes its own turns and twists.
Of
I mean,
course.
even if I think about that, okay, I'm going to end the story like that, and after having gone through halfway through it, I'll be like,
You
no, this
understand
is
it
not
might
right
turn like that.
action, I need to, so yeah, that's
Yeah.
more spontaneous kind of a thing, which I discovered
So
during the
basically,
writing. Yeah.
it's actually something enlightening in one's own perspective, as well as in one gets to learn a lot of things about one's own self as well. That okay, so these thoughts could also be created, or something like that. So one gets to
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah, certainly, certainly,
So
certainly.
that's self discovery, the entire writing process. So that's great. So I'm quite happy. One thing that I would want to again highlight over here is that this particular theme that you have chosen, as in especially coming from society and empowerment, individual empowerment, that is amazing. So my next question would be here about the publishing. Yes, so as I first mentioned that we're going to work anti gatekeeping. So as a female writer, and this was your first work which actually got published, right? So So what were the challenges? You went to some publishing house and you talked to them. You settled down with the first publisher that you found, or you went out in the market and you found different publishers. You met them. So what were the requirements? What were the challenges? And how did you proceed through that?
Well, publishing here in Pakistan is a sad phenomenon because we do have publishing houses, and but they are not really kind of as supportive of the especially beginning authors as they should
Mm,
be. And it is more of a business than promoting a writer's work. So
mm,
I did some research certainly, and there were some publishing houses who just straight away told me that we are too busy to publish, or even if and then but I asked certain other publishers too. Now there's one thing common among all the publishing houses is that they are like, okay, I even by now I understand that I'm a new author, right? And
mm,
since we already are aware of things that publishing houses have become more of a business than promoting the creativity and the work and intellectual, they are not about that. We have to be confirmed, right? So which is a genuine concern because ultimately they are doing a business. I totally understand
okay.
if they ask me to pay for the copies, right? I have come to this point of understanding that they ask me, everyone, each and everyone asked me to pay for that. So which is fair enough. But what really hurt me is that they don't even take any role at all. After having published the books, which I myself paid for, or the new author has paid for, they don't even take the pain of promoting the work, maybe doing a book launch or maybe putting them in the or reaching out to different bookstores and shelving them in the bookstores. Nothing at all. So everything I had to do is and everything. So yeah, after a lot of research, I went for rock publishers. I thought it's good enough, and I worked with them. But ultimately, I ended up getting my work proofread on my own, and then I got the titles designed as well. I had to, keep in touch with them, checking or proofreading time and again if they have, as far as the formatting is concerned and everything. So yeah, if you're publishing, you have to know that you have to be in the loop till the end. You just cannot write the manuscript and email it over to the publisher and they're gonna give you the end product. That doesn't happen that at all. You have to be in the loop throughout, telling them, and ultimately they just hand you over a number of copies that they are,
Mm,
and even the distribution is the headache of the author. Even organizing a book launch is the headache of the author. Even promotion, they don't really are concerned about that. So yeah, this
mm,
is how, and this is not only even for this doesn't really go for or our publisher. It goes with every publishing house.
mm,
I consulted multiple, and they were like, okay, fine, we can print it, but ultimately you'll have to take care of everything. So yeah,
mm,
writing the book has been a very beautiful journey for me. I must say that it was very dreamy and very beautiful kind of a journey because writing is something that comes naturally to me.
of
I don't
course.
have to force myself into it. When you do the work, you're actually making yourself work. Okay, yeah, this is my duty. But writing is not my duty. It's more of a passion. And
Mm,
I find pleasure in doing that, right? So that was a wonderful journey of 3 years writing the stories on different angles and finding the angles and trying to, project Pakistan society in the purest in the, form that I wanted it to be projected. But then ultimately publishing was a very painful part. I really didn't
mm.
enjoy that at all. That became kind of a burden on me. It's kind of like
Mm.
a duty on me that I have to do. Right.
So
So
one can say that going to publishing houses is nothing different than carrying out a self-publishing thing.
yeah,
Or
yeah, right. Absolutely. Even if the big publishing houses ask you to go for the self-publishing thing, they'll
mm,
never, pay for your, especially if you're new author. But if you have published, you are a renowned person, then that's another thing, I guess. I
that's
guess,
another thing.
yeah.
Of course, yeah. So, Sophia, what can you like being, you're published. I've been published as well. But the thing about, I totally relate with your point of view, with stuff about royalties. There's no concept of royalties in Pakistan at
That's
all.
just a joke, I guess.
So this is something that really needs working. So what do you think, like as someone who has an experience, for example, people like us, how can we make stuff a bit more easier or streamline the process for maybe those who want to write?
Personally, open the publishing house, maybe. That could be one way of going about it. And yeah, we do have that Dastan Publishing House, and we do have that which is run by Safina, I guess. It's called I don't know, Reverie Publishers. And there's this one
Mhm.
more publishing house by Taiba Abbas. I don't know, it's Aleph Publishing House, something like that. So yeah, that could be one of the ways. However, I approached them and none of them replied to me. Got back to me. I wonder why. All right. So, but yeah, secondly, advice is something that you can do always. If people approach me, different people approach me whenever when they want to get their works published, and I thoroughly guide, like completely honestly from top to. I'm not like, I don't shy away from hiding the details or being very, superficial or formal about it. I thoroughly guide them. So that's one way of my helping out the people since I've gone through the same process. And however, I do recommend getting your books published from the foreign publishing houses. They have more of a responsibility. However, reaching out to them is a task, that you have to
Hmm.
reach out to different agents, and you have first you have to search about the agent to relevant publish relevant stuff to your genre, and then you
Hmm.
have to write them emails, send them your samples, and all those things, cover letter and everything. But then eventually when you got get picked up, it's all of that work is their head. Your part is done. So, which is a wonderful thing about
Hmm.
international publishing houses. But since I was quite in hurry, I wanted to get it out as soon as possible because of some reasons, which is why I chose the local publishing houses. I think this is fair enough. I mean, your work should be out in the public. That's all that matters, right? And if you want
True.
to earn to it,
True.
yeah, international publishing houses are always, recommended choice.
This is a very sorry fact, but it is what it is. So,
Yeah.
anyhow, Sophia, because you have touched upon societal issues, societal challenges, and how to maneuver through them and everything. So this has to be a work which can be which can be read by a wider audience. Something which can be digested by a wider audience. More people could relate to it, so that your message can spread to more heads. So there is this one challenge that comes in when you're writing for a very wide audience, and that is that you have to be somewhat writing in a way which is fathomable to most people. And from where I see, and from my own experience as well, we don't have many readers now. Yes, so the culture of reading is almost dead. And whenever it has also been a challenge to me that when I write and when I share it with people, they go like, okay, this is a bit too complex, maybe choose some easier words, easier vocabularies, tone it down. But then the what I say is, I cannot tone it down, this is my style of writing, and stuff like that. So when you started writing, and when you felt like, okay, I'm going to address such a wide audience, so how did you cater all that? How did you tone down your style?
Not at all. Not at all. Absolutely not. My perspective of my writing is very different one. See, this is not job. When I do my job. I'm an admission and I teach and everything. There, I have to keep in mind what my boss says. You know,
Hmm.
because that boss is paying me, right? So that is my job.
Hmm.
But as far as
Hmm.
writing is concerned, it's purely my domain. If somebody doesn't understand my diction, it doesn't agree with my ideas, don't read it, right? I'm not
Hmm.
binding you to read. Don't agree with,
Hmm.
but I have to be authentic with my writing. I have to be pure with my writing. I cannot just add details into it because others want it. While writing a story, what my process of writing a story is that, after having grasped an idea or theme or character, whatever that is I want to write about, um, I start living in that world. So whenever
Hmm.
feels right in that world, I have to write it,
Hmm.
right? So yeah, and in that world, the reader doesn't have any space. They don't really
Very
have.
true.
They
Yeah.
don't. They
My
shouldn't.
writing, you,
I mean,
you go like, writing is an
read my
art.
stories.
Yes.
Say whatever you want to say about my story. And I really love that Roald Dahl's Nick Watch about writing. He's like, hey, I don't really care if you like my story or not, as far as you read it till the end. So you've read
Hmm.
it, which is why you dislike my story, no? So for me, as a
Very
writer,
true.
it doesn't matter if you like it. For me, it matters that you read till
You've
the
read
end. There has to be something in the story which made you to read it till the end. Otherwise, most of the
very.
time, that's my point of view.
No, that's actually a good point of view, because obviously to agree or to disagree is the right of the reader, and it needs not do anything with the plot of the story or anything, because that is the what can we say, it's basically an art. Yes, so the art can make a lot of sense, like different senses for different people. So so being a writer, you don't have to fret on that. So this was the basic point that I was actually trying, that someone else would also say that, and someone else would also relate that, which I'm happy, Sophia, that we relate the same here. And all right, so I was reading the reviews on your write-up, and I found that you have somehow also touched upon Marxism in a way. So how is that?
Marxism, not really. When I don't know, I didn't do it deliberately as such, but yes, it is. kind of engrossed in our society so much so that we can, even a common man, we cannot avoid it. For example, my story, um this I don't remember. I don't know why I don't remember the name of my story. That story where there's this woman who's standing just under the billboard of what's her name, Mahira Khan, and she's just smiling and drinking Nestle. And there's this woman who's a working lady. She's just standing there, and her legs are aching.
Hmm.
And then there's this structured building in front of her which hasn't been completed like since forever because the owner of that building went bankrupt. So these are the things, and
Hmm.
there's this element of inflation because especially when I started writing that particular story, there was a lot of inflation and price hike was going on. It has been a phenomena forever, but lately the inflation has been eye-opening for all of us. It hit upon all of the classes. It was the first time.
Yes.
Even the
Hmm.
upper classes, they were hit by this sort of
Hmm.
inflation. So yeah, it comes in between the things, but I never planned to write about this theme deliberately or to make it a main thing. So when you write about
Hmm.
different characters, so their financial is something that comes, that is kind of a natural or automatically comes into the play.
Direction that comes to you.
Yeah.
Hmm. So, so Sophia, now that you have, explored this particular aspect as well, you've gotten a review and you've found out, okay, maybe my writing can somehow align with Marxism, or maybe if I don't go that extreme, maybe I can, touch upon that topic as well. This would be something new for you, yes?
Yeah,
I think it's something.
yeah, I
So
guess
would you be
because
like,
I personally believe that finances is a very great role to play in making choices in our life.
of
You
course,
know,
yeah. The
it's
economy is
one of the
basically
main
what is right.
one of the
Yeah.
main thing in our life because I mean even in the very first story Under the Currents, you see the boy leaves the village just because he wants to earn more. He doesn't have any hope attached to his village, and he wants to earn more, which is why he has to go through that process of dung, right? And why people
Hmm.
don't go for donkey, despite knowing that this is going to be very painful plus risky as well. Many people
Hmm.
die during that process, but even then, we have youth going for that. Why would they do that? Why would their family send away their children or their boys go through that process just because of the
Hmm.
finances? So that is one aspect we cannot really ignore. It is so much ingrained in our lifestyle and everything.
Does this particular aspect gives you direction for your future writings maybe, or what can we see Sophia Humayun coming up with in the coming future?
In the coming future, actually, I'm writing. For now, I'm working on this collection of poetry,
Hmm.
and there's this one translation work as well, which I'm working. Yeah, but if I
That's
write the prose, I'll be more. It will be more about speculative fiction because I think that I don't know. I find it very interesting. Writing a speculative fiction coming out from Pakistan is gonna be a very different kind of an experience, I guess. So yeah,
going to be something very new, something a trend setter. We can
yeah,
see it, right?
maybe, yeah, maybe, yeah.
Great. Inshallah, it would be, why not? So this is great, hearing from you. Coming in contact with someone, some writer who is out there to try some new waters. You know, get to know something new in writing in Pakistan, especially. That is. So there is this fun question I would like to end up with, and that is, because you are a literary person, and being literary people, we have these, fictional characters or maybe otherwise writers who we fall in love with, and we just cannot help ourselves but falling in love with them. So if there was this one individual, be it fictional or be it author of some particular book, so who would it be that you would want to switch lives with for a day?
Um, a fictional character or an author, anyone. I
Hmm.
don't know, maybe Toni Morrison because I adore her a lot. I really adore her a lot. She's kind
And
of
what's that thing? Why do you adore him? What
uh,
would you want to do being him?
having her. Um, I don't know, reach. I mean, the way she writes is so beautiful. It's so musical. Although her writing style is not that poetic, but the way
Hmm.
she creates the word in a story or in a novel is so touching.
Hmm.
It touches your heart, and
Hmm.
even the characters feel
I haven't
so
read.
deep, and
I
you
haven't read, and I would like to
must
know
read
that one book which
Jazz
I
and
can read.
The Bluest Eye, especially the story, the novella, the Bluest Eye. There's this little girl who wants to have blue eyes just because the society adores blue eyes. So this is a
Oh,
wonderful idea. This is a very deep thought. So yeah,
yes, it is.
maybe getting her style of writing is something that I might want to achieve by switching the roles.
No, that is actually good, and it has really prompted me to read her work as well. I'll
Yeah, do
surely
that.
go
It's a wonderful
through
book.
her work.
So, yeah.
Inshallah, inshallah. All right, so Sophia, this was for today. This was our, reflections on shattered echoes, and I really hope that you can work around the market. If you can provide us with the link of your book, from where people can buy it and everything, we will be adding that in our description box as well.
Sure.
And yes, so okay, and if if any aspiring writer or maybe anyone would want to ask you something other than something that we might have missed here. So yes, can they ask you that
Yeah,
as a
sure. I
follow up?
have one. Yeah, please.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Okay,
have.
great. So if anyone who is watching this video and who is hearing us out, this is an open, call for, guidance. We have Sophia Humayun. We need more people like Sophia Humayun here in Pakistan who are actually doing something great, who are actually working on empowerment in a way. And why? Because it's really needed in our country, especially for women. Yes. So on that note, we'll be ending this for today. Thank you so much, Sophia, again for your
Thank
time.
you so much for having me over the show, and it was really wonderful talking to you.
uh, that feeling is mutual, Sophia. I'm so inspired right now by you, and I'm so happy that we could have this little chit chat with each other, and we could actually dive into deeper concepts and everything. So yeah, that's it for today. Thank you so much, everyone who will be watching us. And on that note, Allah Hafiz.